Can we get a review on the sound?
Shabbat Shalom. It is wonderful to be here on this sacred, special night. Each Shabbat is special in its own way, and this one we have combined with our commemoration for Yom HaShoah. Rabbi Wiesenberg, did the sound okay for the singing? All right, you're our sound check. This is also a very special Shabbat for a few other reasons. One, that it is our first hybrid Shabbat. So it is, Cantor and I did try to lead from the sanctuary a few weeks ago, and it was lovely, but having some smiling faces out there is super duper lovely. So thank you, and having smiling faces on Zoom is nice as well. I will put a link in the chat in a minute or two that gives you the prayer book. And when you go to that page, it's CCR prayer book repaginated. It's the one for Shabbat, festivals, and weekday, which is the thicker book, the one we give the students in the school. If you don't have that, or that's not how you prefer to have your services, most of the extra readings will be on the screen on slides as well. Another reason tonight is so special is that Carly Snow is becoming a bat mitzvah tomorrow. So we welcome her and her family, and we'll be hearing from them as they light the Shabbat candles and do kiddush and things like that. We're just excited to celebrate. But right now we're going to begin with lighting the candles that we light before Shabbat starts. Our Yom HaShoah candles, the candles for the 6 million who perished. And it is really our honor to invite Lydia, Mayor, and the Chichinsky family to light these candles. Lydia is one of the only survivor in our congregation, and she honors us by lighting these candles. If you do have a prayer book, it's page 522. And I just want to take a minute and spot, is it Michelle? Is it going to be, it's yours?
Mine for this one.
Okay.
Oh, look at us, a family.
Yes. We kindle these lights in memory of the 6 million Jews murdered by the Nazis and their collaborators. May the memory of the righteous be for a blessing. Zichronam livracha.
And while you light the 6 lights at your house, we're lighting 6 candles, the special Yom HaShoah Yisker candles here in the sanctuary, and they will burn throughout the vigil tonight. Go ahead.
Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Blessed is the flame that burns in the secret fest of the heart. Blessed is the heart with the strength stopped beating for honor's sake. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame.
Amen. Amen. And thank you so, so much. And we'll be back to your house in a little bit. Or you tell me what to unmute. We now listen to our wonderful violinist who is joining us for the first time, Paul Little. And I'll unmute this. How beautiful. And the words that go with that beautiful melody. Page 531. Anima amin be'emunah shlema b'viat hamashiach af al pi yitmameha in kol zeh ani ma'amim. I believe with perfect faith in the Messiah's coming. Despite it all, I still believe. And now we bring in Shabbat with the candle blessings on page 120. And we highlight Carly and her mom, Samantha. If you guys could unmute, you'll pop right up to the top for me.
Hi.
Great.
What do we light up?
You're spotlighted. Okay, so page 120 and 121, and Mom, you start.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahalak ner shel Shabbat.
And light the candles.
Light it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And now if you'll read the English of the candle blessing.
Yeah.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereignty of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen. And we will see you guys in a little bit for Kiddush and a few announcements. So thank you so much. I will unmute. Throughout the service, we have asked third generation grandchildren of survivors to honor us by lighting a candle, this time in honor of their grandparents and their family members who survived, some of whom have subsequently passed away. So sometimes it will be in memory of. We were going to start this evening with Missy and Matt Montag, and both of them had conflicts. So we're making one exception and asking Henry, the child of survivors, to light the first candle for us. And if you unmute, there you are, you're ahead of me.
Thank you, Rabbi. So, on behalf of my family, and particularly the grandkids, Matt and Missy, I like to commemorate my mom and dad, Grandma Rega, and Max, both from Poland. My mom from Bendine and my dad from Yelitz, who were survived only by one brother. For both my mom and my dad, they both moved over to Israel and started their families there. And my mom and dad came into America in 1950 when I was 1 year old. And nothing more than that grandma loved, rather than Matt and Missy. And I think they might be watching, depending if they're able to get through with their internet. In any event, this candle is on your behalf, guys. One thing that I learned from my mom and dad was the word belief and determination. And I hope my kids get the same. To all the other children, grandchildren of survivors, thank you, Rabbi.
Amen. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. Henry was the person who gave us this wonderful idea of starting a second gen, a third gen group so that we could work as a congregation to help preserve the memories and the stories that are what remind us of the unbelievable effort that so many went through to survive, and that we today are really honoring them by surviving, by being Jewish, by being committed, and by caring and being good people in the world. We turn to page 146 and we rise for the Baruch Hu. If you're here, you have to rise, and if you're at home, do what works for you. Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. We turn to page 150, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadta. Akein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shobeinu u'v'komeinu, Nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, u'behem negeh yomam v'layla. Ve'avat ha'galat ha'asir mimenu le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai be seated as we turn to page 154 and we continue together with the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech ushafbecha uvkumeka ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha Uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. And please feel free to join in. Lama'an tisgaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai. Hitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. And we turn to the words of Primo Levi on page 524, and I will put them up on the screen as well. You who live secure in your warm houses, who return in the evening to find hot food and a friendly face, consider whether this is a man who labors in the mud, who knows no peace, who fights for a crust of bread, who dies at a yes or a no. Consider whether this is a woman without hair or name, with no more strength to remember, eyes empty and womb cold as a frog in winter. Consider that this has been. I commend these words to you. Engrave them on your hearts when you are in your house, you walk on your way, when you go to bed, and when you rise. Repeat them to your children, or may your house crumble. Disease render you powerless. Your offspring avert their faces from you. And we now invite to honor us by lighting the candles, Sari Warsaw and Scott Lebenhart. I think Sari is first.
You're lighting this candle in honor of Stanley Zdenek Lebenhart, who was my father,
our grandfather,
our great-grandpa, our great-grandpa.
At age 14, our grandpa left behind his entire family in Prague and was one of the fortunate few who escaped the Nazis on the Kinder transport. Sir Nicholas Winton was instrumental in organizing the Kinder transport, and he remains our family's hero. Our grandfather later found his way from England to the United States, where he served in the Army, went to college, and became an engineer. Grandpa met our grandma at a party on New Year's Eve, and that was the beginning of the new Lebenhart family. While his entire family perished in the Holocaust, Grandpa took his good fortune and started a new life here in the US, but he was tortured by his past.
You're muted, okay.
Our family tree continues to grow as Grandpa by his 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. Grandpa lived a life that many of us could never even fathom. For that, we are grateful for his sacrifices, victory, and his love. Today and every day, we remember Grandpa and millions of other Jews who lost their lives in the Holocaust or had to live the rest of their lives with the unbearable memories of that. We vow to never forget.
Thank you. And seeing your family and your father and grandfather's great-grandchildren sitting there with you is what this night is all about. And what a beautiful picture. So thank you so much. We continue with the Micha Mocha on page 158, a song that, much like the journey you just described, a song, a prayer that celebrates freedom and a belief in God in spite all odds. And on page 161, we prayed together. You guys have to start me off since my book closed. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God, and bring us into shelter in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. For you, with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. And we turn to the Vishamru, a prayer for Shabbat, on page 162.
Meritola, meritola.
How beautiful. And as I set up Jeremy and Jacob Chachinsky, hold on one second. I have to say to Sari Warsaw, you know, there was a little fight between the Moskowitz rabbis. He didn't know why you were coming here and not going to your shul. But I won, I told him. I had the power. The power of the grandpa. That was the power of Elliot. And I also wanted to say before you guys light that I was in touch with Jeremy Feinberg, who read last year Flo's son and Ben Gazal's son, Flo Feinberg, and he did not join us this evening because he is expecting a second baby, another great grandchild of a survivor, any minute. So we let him have the night off just in case. But I am going to unspotlight the cantor and I as we invite Jeremy and Jacob to each light candles.
I'm lighting this candle in honor of my grandmother, Lydia Mayer. She was born in Lvov, Poland in 1933 and was in the Lvov ghetto. She was hidden with her parents by righteous Gentiles in an attic for 2 years from ages 9 to 11. They went to Sweden and waited 4.5 years to come to the US due to the quota. They joined her aunt and uncle in New York in 1950. She met my grandfather in New York and they got married in 1955. I'm lucky to see my grandmother every day. I have inherited her love of nature and photography.
And I'm lighting this candle in memory of my grandfather, Edmund Mayer. He was born in Przemyśl, Poland in 1931. He was in various labor camps and had many near-death experiences. He was a part of a death march for 5 weeks during the winter, where he actually played chess in his head to pass the time during that march. And at age 14, he saved himself, his mother, and his sister by stealing a horse and wagon and escaping with it. They were miraculously reunited with their father, Jacob Mayer, who is also my namesake, in Hungary. And he came to the US in 1949 and married my grandmother, as mentioned before, in 1955. He was a member of Temple Beth Torah since 1975, and I was lucky enough to live around the corner for him for most of my life. And I like to believe a lot of his positive traits have rubbed off on me, including his love of learning and family.
Oh, thank you both. That was beautiful. And we are so blessed to also have your family in multi-generations as part of Temple Beth Torah. So thank you guys so much. I know you've been lighting the candles with your grandmother whenever it works that you're in town, so it's really beautiful. We turn to page 166 for the Amidah, and it's fitting as the first prayers, the Avot Ve'imahot, that reminds us that God is the God of our ancestors. We're followed by the Gevurot, a God is a God of strength, and by the Kedusha, a God of holiness. And all three of those themes reverberate throughout this evening. Page 166, please rise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu v'Imateinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Kekonei Hakol, זוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. And on page 167, some perished by fire, some by water, some crossed the sea or watered the desert, some starved all week to make a Shabbat feast. Some were left childless until old age. Some lifted their chins beneath a father's knife. Those who came before us gave everything so that we, generations later, could glorify you. And despite the dangers with your protection, some did survive and even flourished. Some reaped in joy, were spared the night, were granted children. We are their inheritors, O God, and we know how rare is our good fortune to be born to such hard-won treasures. The great responsibility is ours and yours as well. For if you did not sustain us as you did Abraham and Sarah, Rebekah and Isaac, Jacob, Rachel and Leah, then who will sing your praises? Who will lift their chins as we do now to sanctify your name?
So make no fear of Fekonim, Umatir Aserim, Urekaye Merunato, Lishene Afar, Mika Moka Bagiro, Umito Melon, Melekemi Dumekaye, Umas Miang Yeshua, Venemona Halakayotako, Baruch atah Adonai, Michael HaKol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. And on page 528, where it will be on the screen in front of you, maybe. These words by Hugo Grin, a rabbi in London. It was the cold winter of 1944, and although we had nothing like calendars, my father, who was my fellow prisoner there, took me and some of our friends to a corner in our barrack. He announced that it was the eve of Hanukkah and produced a curious-shaped bowl and began to light a wick immersed in his precious, but now melted margarine ration. Before he could recite the first blessing, I protested at the waste of food. He looked at me, then at the lamp, and finally said, "You and I have seen that it is possible to live up to 3 weeks without food. We once lived almost 3 days without water. But you cannot live properly for 3 minutes without hope." And we invite to light the next candle, Kayla Intro, who will be becoming a bat mitzvah in just a few weeks.
I'm lighting this candle in honor of my grandparents, Luba and Gadi Introp, who separately fled Poland to Russia years after the war. They lived in Germany, France, and Austria, and ultimately ended up in Israel, which was their dream. From them, I learned the value of family and the importance of Jewish traditions.
And we know you honor them every day, but in 2 weeks, you will honor them in a very special way. So thank you so much, Kayla. And Adam Breitman.
Hi, so lighting this candle in memory of my grandmother and grandfather, Francis and Harry Schmolowitz, who were born in Radomsko, Poland. They lost everything in the most atrocious way possible. And I prefer to focus on the good that came of it. They fled to the United States and they had my mother and my Uncle Jeffrey. And of course, my mother had me, and I have a little baby boy sleeping right in the other room. And what they taught me was the importance of perseverance, and that has shaped my life. And it's something that I will be thankful for forever.
Amen. I thought maybe we were going to get to see Axel.
We tried to keep him up, but he wasn't having it.
And I think the rule is you don't wake a sleeping baby. But we are delighted to see you and wish you a mazel tov on the new addition to your family. And we look forward to meeting him in person and seeing you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. And we continue now with Ritzay, a prayer that we pray the right things, a prayer that asks God to hear our prayers. How beautiful and what a majestic version of that prayer that you guys did so beautifully. We give thanks on page 176, and I invite you to add to the chat maybe something that you are giving thanks for on this Shabbat. It always helps each of us to be grateful, and I think we've certainly been inspired by what to be grateful for this evening. Modim anachnu lach she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu le'olam va'ed. Tzor hayenu magen ishenu atahu ledor vador. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock in our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Eli, Eli will be our prayer for peace today.
Oh God, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the Lord, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
As we enter into silent prayer, we begin with silence, the silence of death, the silence after destruction. There are times when songs falter, when darkness fills life, when martyrdom becomes a constellation of faith against the unrelieved black of space about us. There are no words to reach beyond the edge of night, no message to tell the full tale. There is only silence, the silence of Job, the silence of the 6 million, the silence of memory. Let us remember them as we link our silences. Paul Little, thank you so much for joining us and bringing your gifts, your talents, and your violin with you here this evening. You have to make it so your music stand's not blocking your face. I got complaints about that. And Vincent, as always, thank you. We just appreciate your music. And that was the music from Schindler's List, and wow, how beautiful. About 4 years ago, UJA Federation started a program called the Witness Project. And we know that the Shoah is stories about trauma, but it's also moments of resilience, of surviving, and of living to tell the tale, of finding hope in the most unlikely places, of having lives overshadowed by an early atrocity, but somehow finding a way to survive. And all the survivors who are alive today are in their late 80s, early 90s, late 90s. I guess they could be in their early hundreds, which is remarkable just to think about. Not only living, but living long, and God willing, living well. So the 3 of the last 4 years, we have had Temple Beth Torah students, teens, participate in the Witness Project. And today we are blessed and thrilled to have Lily Nussbaum, Maddie Schiappo, and Mary Goldstein, who are going to share about the project, what they've learned, and what they have created. So Lily, I'm going to replace Spotlight with you.
I have had the privilege of being part of the Witness Project this year. The Witness Project is a collaborative program between students and Holocaust survivors. The students are able to learn about the survivors' lives before, during, and after the traumatic events of the Holocaust. The program ensures the memory of the Holocaust is passed on to the next generation and additionally helps the survivors come to terms with their past. The program is split between 2 categories. One is a storytelling group where the students create a film about the lives of one of the survivors they worked with. And the other category is visual arts, where the students create artwork inspired by their survivors, such as paintings, poems, or digital art. I was a part of the storytelling group, and the film will not be completed until June. On June 9th, the film premiere will occur over Zoom alongside with the artwork created by the other students. I highly encourage you to join us on June 9th to become a witness yourself and keep the memory of these survivors alive. This program has been eye-opening for me as I realize how many people are uneducated about the events of the Holocaust, and how it is our duty to keep informing our peers to make sure something like this never happens again. It is important to take a stand up against anti-Semitism and make sure that we are not bystanders. Throughout my time working with the survivors, they have taught me valuable lessons about perseverance, and their strength has inspired me greatly. We will light this candle to honor the survivors and remember the victims of the Shoah.
Thank you, Lily, for explaining this meaningful project to us. And I'm so glad it has been so meaningful for you. Madison Schiappo.
Hi, my name is Maddie Schiappo, and I became part of the Witness Project at the start of this school year. Ever since my first meeting with my first survivor, I've become so invested in this program and learning about the stories and experiences of my survivors and others when given the chance. My experiences with the Witness Project have greatly impacted the way I view the world and my own life. I have come to realize that it is my duty as a young Jewish adult to preserve and pass on the stories I am so fortunate to have had the opportunity to hear, as well as the lessons that their survivors have taught me. Not only that, but I have learned that I should never stay silent when it comes to speaking out about something I believe strongly about, and never being a bystander. In today's world, it is so important to stand up against prejudice and anti-Semitism, and the Witness Project has helped me find my voice. I am so incredibly grateful for this opportunity and have learned so much from it. I based my final project on my survivor, Werner Reich. I was very inspired by how he lived through so much trauma and ugliness, yet still said these words to my group on Zoom: "Life has been good to me." I think it is so moving how he was able to overcome the hardships he endured and has lived his life successfully, having such a positive influence on so many people. My project has 2 sides to it. The first side shows the facts behind the Holocaust, reflected through a collage of newspaper clippings. But beyond the newspaper articles and documents are the tragic yet inspirational stories of so many innocent people that the articles do not depict. Just one of many inspirational stories is the other side to my project. Werner's story begins with him as a young boy. I have depicted my thoughts of Werner with a yellow Jewish star, which Werner was forced to wear. In the center, I drew a happy and beautiful portrait of Warner as a child, which I sketched from an actual photograph taken of him before the war. The border of the project, which contains the negativity in the newspaper clippings, portrays the worst time of his life, but my drawing of him in the center of the project connects his happiness as a child to his positive outlook on life as an adult today. Despite the trauma he faced, he still smiles and says that life has been good to him. I light this candle to honor the survivors and remember the victims of the show.
Thank you, Maddie. Wow. And I'm going to switch our spotlight to Mary Goldstein.
Hi, my name is Mary Goldstein, and I also had the privilege to be part of the Witness Project this year. Like Maddie, I was part of the visual arts group and created a project based on Werner Reich, who is one of the most inspiring, courageous, and optimistic people I have ever met. My project was created digitally through Photoshop, and I'm sharing my screen now so you can all see it. The photo on the left is Werner as a teenager, around 15 years old during the war. I duplicated the image and enlarged it each time to represent the fact that Werner never gave up and ultimately became stronger by the end of the war. The photo on the right of Werner was taken recently of him in an auditorium telling his story. I made that image the only thing colored in the collage because Werner always says that the Holocaust does not define him. He experienced so much tragedy in his past, but he did not let this take over his life. Instead, he turned his past into optimism by sharing his story with the world and teaching them inspiring life lessons. It is so difficult to believe that he went through this tragedy at such a young age, actually almost around my age. I would usually say that I can't imagine what the Holocaust survivors went through. However, although I did not live through it, hearing the survivors' stories all year, asking questions, and talking to them really did help me to understand what they went through. Although I have learned about the Holocaust in school and Hebrew school and seen pictures and videos, this experience does not compare. Every Thursday night after our Zoom, I go directly downstairs and share my story with my parents and siblings. I've made sure to keep a journal with important details and even record some of the inspiring quotes that the survivors have said to me. I do this because I truly believe that it is so important for all of us to keep their stories alive so that they are not forgotten and so that this never happens again. This year in particular showed the importance of passing along their stories, as we unfortunately lost 3 survivors in the program in the past few months. Clearly, I can't share all the details here, but I encourage any interested high school students to join this program as it gives you such an amazing opportunity and outlook on life. Like Werner once said, don't be a silent friend.
Thank you. Oh, that was so gorgeous. And you have inspired all of us. And I hope that other teens will follow suit, and that as adults, we too will make sure we read the stories, listen to the stories of survivors. And we are really blessed in Nassau County, we're in Suffolk County, but on the right in Long Island is the Holocaust Remembrance Center. I think I get the name right there. In Glen Cove. And if you haven't been, I urge you to go. And they often have survivors speak and testimony in the exhibit. And it really, really is a wonderful museum. And several of these survivors, many of them are regular speakers there as well. So even if you're not 17, you could too get to hear their stories. Ladies, thank you so much. You're an inspiration. And I know this has been a huge commitment. I know it doesn't necessarily feel that way because it's so meaningful, but we know that you're giving up time to be a witness and to hear the stories. And it's really inspirational to all of us. And I want to thank the people who've also written some inspirational stories in the chat that I hope you'll take a look at, and I can share with you guys later. Rabbi Wiesenberg and I now would like to say a few prayers that are specifically connected to the, sorry, let me get this moving here, to the for the victims of the Shoah. Fully compassionate God on high, to our 6 million brothers and sisters murdered because they were Jews. Grant clear and certain rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold them in the embrace of your wings. Secure their souls in eternity. Adonai, they are yours. They will rest in peace. Amen. And as I switch to the next slide, Rabbi, if you unmute and maybe add yourself to the spotlight.
Okay. Hold on. Add myself to the spotlight. It will not allow me to do that part.
Okay,
I'll just read it. I don't need to be spotlighted. Okay. Today I remember a world that we built, but now is gone. It had kind rabbis and tireless peddlers, poor Jews and proud Jews. In it lived smart Rebbitzins and the fools of Chelm, 1,000 yeshivas and 1,000 rival yeshivas, and resilient women, tough and loving Yiddish imamis. In that world, now graves and ashes, lived millions of children who never became adults, who never fell in love, who never formed millions of families, who never had millions of children, who would now be sitting next to us at a synagogue, celebrating Shabbos. This world was full of life, actors, poets, revolutionaries, musicians, revisionists, socialists, Zionists, jewelers, doctors, teachers, artisans, peddlers, thousands of God-fearing and life-loving communities. But neither their wisdom nor their kindness could stop the plague assaulting them. An army of hate, a nation with hearts of stone, people with no God in their poisoned minds. Our people, following the commandments of compassion, their enemies blindly following their commanders and their own base passions. Our people, believing there is a spark of God in everything and in everyone. Their assailants, ignoring and suppressing anything divine within them and around them. We remember now the millions of our people who proclaimed God and loved life, who were tortured, murdered, and exterminated in the fields, cities, and death camps of Europe.
Yitzgadal,
Auschwitz,
Yitzkadash,
Lodz,
Shemay Rabbah,
Ponar,
B'yama Divra Kirutei,
Babi Yar,
B'yamlich Malchutei,
Majdanek,
B'chayechon Uv'yomechon,
Birkenau,
Uchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael,
Kovno,
Ba'agala Vizman Kariv,
Janoska,
V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah V'barach Le'olam, Omei, Omei. Yitbarach V'yishtabach,
Theresienstadt,
V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam,
Buchenwald,
V'yitnaseh V'yitadar,
Treblinka,
V'yitaleh V'yitalal,
Vilna,
Shmei Kudusha B'rirchu,
Bergen-Belsen,
Ne'ela,
Mauthausen,
Min Kol Birchata V'shirata,
Dachau,
Tushbechata V'nechemata,
Minsk,
V'damiran V'yama,
Warsaw,
V'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'yal Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Thank you. We now rise together for the Aleinu on the bottom of page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon rachon, l'ateit gdula yotzer bereshit, shelo asan k'goyei haratzon, v'lo samanu b'mishpat ha'adamah, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'goralinu k'chol hamonam, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא
And we remain standing as we turn to page 598 for the Mourner's Kaddish, the Kaddish Yatom. And you can add names in the chat if there's someone you're saying Kaddish for. And as a congregation, we remember with great love David Jablon, father of Jen Strow, who we are in the week of mourning for. And Eric Aaronsweig, friend of Jeff Baker, who we are in the Shloshim for. And the yurtzites of those who fall at this season: Herman Bernstein, Henry Bloom, Jeanette Borsak, Ray Hennison, Andrew Todd Horwitz, Jacob Jaffe, Edward Kane, Alma Kramer, Janet Krasner, May Lehman, Shirley Luden, Sydney Manton, Joan Manton, Stuart Newman, Florence Nurnberg, Jay Nussbaum, Louis Savella, Mitchell Scharf, Harold Scherf, Leonard Schneiderman, Debbie Schoenfeld, Martin Seligman, Martin Seelig, Joan Snitowski, Blanche Suffler, Dorothy Weinstein, and Herschel Wurst. We had an unusual number of deaths 1 year ago, right before Pesach, and this week. So many of those names are people for whom we're observing the first yurtzeit. And just remember them. And we remember those for whom we are observing years and years since their passing. And we also say our prayers for Prince Philip. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei rabba, v'yama divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'galav b'zman karib v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oh, sorry, hit the wrong. Yehi Shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei d'kudasha. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata. Damiram v'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Ye'oseh shalom b'mromav v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. 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 And now it is our joy, and even in this service where we focused on a lot of our losses, as well as on survival, Carly becoming a bat mitzvah tomorrow is a real sign of life, of success, of resilience on a personal level for her, but also for the Jewish people. So if Carly could unmute, we turn to page 122 and 123 for the Kiddush. And I'm going to spotlight you all again. And Dad is going to start us off, Matt, with the English prayer.
The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Barei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kiddushani b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. B'shabbat kodsho b'yahavat uvraton king holanu. Zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh zeker litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'harta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'yahavat uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
Touch.
And that was beautiful. We're excited for tomorrow. And I would like to call on Vanessa Newman to share some words from the congregation as president of the Board of Trustees.
Well, Mazel Tov to Samantha and Matthew on the bar mitzvah of Carly. And Mazel Tov to you, Carly. You're off to a great start. I'm honored to represent the Board of Trustees here at Temple Beth Torah to present the gifts to you. The first thing we have is the Kiddush cup that I'm not sure if you're using it right now, but you will be getting it if you didn't use it for tonight. And we hope that you will continue to use it at many simchas in the future. And that was a gift from the Brotherhood and the Sisterhood for you. Next, you'll have a certificate from the Suffolk JCC. It's a one-year teen membership. They have lots of wonderful programming. You should check it out. Next is a nifty certificate to put towards a trip to Israel, which I hope you get to experience that incredible journey one day. It really is such a beautiful place to visit and your heritage. And then the piece de resistance is your bat mitzvah certificate that you better show up tomorrow to actually fulfill. And I want to remind you tomorrow to take a moment during your service to look around. You'll have some people there, and then later on look at the Zoom screens from the taping of everybody that will be there, that is there for you because they love you. So you will be in a room filled with love to celebrate this major milestone. But remember, this is not the end of your Judaism. It's just a milestone in your lifelong journey of Judaism. So I want to wish you a mazel tov and to enjoy every moment.
Thank you.
We are excited about tomorrow. See you then. Okay, let me see if I got the right one here. Take you all off the hook. Thank you. Let's take a moment for our healing prayers on page 371, our Mishabera. We pray for Rosalind Reifman, mother of Mitchell Reifman and Linda Warshaw. For Rosalind Waldner, mother of Carol Garber. For Moshe Bennett, cousin of the Ravens and Sabatos. For Ella Meyerowitz, mother of Stacy Udell. For Jeff Herdan's father of Jamie Nevins. For Jerry Rodas, Jeff Baker, Ken Dietz, Mike Mordarski, Jock Legros, father of Natasha Kalixty, Lenny Bernstein, husband of Fern Bernstein, Doreen Penchik, mother of Cindy Kaplan, Phyllis Belford, my aunt, Daniel Siegel, father of Chris Siegel. For all those whose names are on our list, for the names you've written in the chat. And is there anyone here who has a name to add? We haven't done that in a long time. For our healing prayers. Thank you. We pray for Miriam. Thank you. And I see some names in the chat, so we offer prayers of healing to all of them and to all who are in need of healing of body and healing of soul.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu, Mekor Abraham, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Amen va'amen, a refuah shlema, a complete and speedy healing. And while we're not going to spend a lot of time on celebration, even in sad moments, we remember and we celebrate. And I'm going to switch this here, or if you unmute, if you're on Zoom and want, but I know that Ken and Robin Bear are celebrating an anniversary this week, and I think they're here on the Zoom, so Mazal Tov to you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Oh, good. And Refuah Shlema. And had my anniversary list too. I think you're the only anniversary I saw, but other people could let me know. And happy birthday to Ryan Steinberg, to, I saw some other, Missy Montag, happy birthday. If she's still watching, she might be celebrating, which we think is a good idea. So one, Debbie Mallon, I'm not sure if you're here with us, Sharon Kaplan, Linda Saltzman, happy birthday, the 10th is tomorrow. And Aaron Pell, who is here in the sanctuary, happy birthday. And Max Gershowitz, happy birthday this week. Shayna Siegel, happy birthday. Very cool, I didn't get that far on my list. Sophie Kreit, happy birthday. Oh, I see Shayna here. Jared Bernstein, not sure if and Paul and Jan Scheinkoffer, both coming up this week. And Cody Michnikowski is any day now as well. And my list here says Sari Lebenhart has a birthday, but I think these days we're calling her Sari Warsaw. So happy birthday, Sari, and we're glad you could join us. Anybody who was once a blessing who we're not calling on. So we say, Chris. Oh, Chris. Well, happy birthday to you. And
Rabbi Ed Ferristali, it's his birthday on April 11th.
Wait, whose birthday is it?
Ed Ferristali.
Oh, happy birthday, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I can't see who's all the people that are here. Wonderful. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And we wish you all Admeya ve'asrim till 120 years, a life full of blessing and goodness and hope. And thank you for coming tonight so that we could share in your celebration. I'd like to remind you before I turn things over to Vanessa for a few upcoming events that at 8 o'clock, and I'm doing pretty good here, we'll be pretty close, a few minutes after 8, Marilyn Shimon is our guest speaker this evening, sharing her uncle's experiences. She wrote a book called First One In, Last One Out, and he was one of the first ones into Auschwitz and one of the last ones out, survived the entire war in Auschwitz. I know you're in for a treat, so we'll give you a few minutes after services. We have announcements, and our closing song is a Hebraic melody, and we'll just end with a few moments of silence. You can get up and stretch and use the facilities or grab something to eat, and then come back about 5 minutes after we end. We will begin our presentation. We will have more services in the sanctuary, so watch the emails, and we will have a sign-up process. I think the people that are here felt safe and had a lovely evening. We had it was so nice to have faces live to look out at, so thank you. You can give yourselves a hand. And we also respect people that aren't ready to do that yet, and we want everybody to stay safe and comfortable. And watch in June, we will send out the link for the Witness Project, and you can go and it'll be on Zoom and watch that. So Vanessa, let me bring you back. I know we have a couple more things going on at Temple Beth Torah.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, Vanessa.
So nice that there's people in the sanctuary with you, keeping you company. So thank you, Rabbi, Cantor, Jody, Vincent, and Paul Little with your incredible violin playing for this incredibly meaningful service, and for all that contributed their prayers and stories for our Yom HaShoah service tonight. Happy birthday and anniversary to all. Mazel Tov again to Samantha and Matthew Snow on the bat mitzvah of Carly. Tomorrow morning, Saturday, April 10th at 9 a.m. is Torah study, followed by Carly Snow's bat mitzvah. On Sunday's a busy day, 11 a.m. dealing with stress. We'll be on Zoom with Robin Steinberg. 2 o'clock, budding friendships. 4 o'clock, confirmation class. On Monday, April 12th at 7 p.m. is a Adept program. Partnering with the Half Hollow Hills Library and New York Historical Society brings you the first Jewish Americans, Freedom and Culture in the New World. That'll be on Zoom. Tuesday, April 13th at 10 a.m. is Jewish Tangents. Wednesday, April 14th at 6 p.m. is Ritual Committee meeting. Friday, April 16th at 6:30 will be the Yom Ha'atzmaut Shabbat service. That's Israel's Independence Day since 1948, featuring the 6th graders and honoring our own Ronnie Wolf for her 20 years of service as the religious school administrator at TBT. I know I miss her. Monday, April 29th at 6:30 is Budget and Finance meeting. I think that's actually at 6. And at 7 p.m. is Get to Know Your Leadership series. We will be highlighting Rabbi Rachel Wiesenberg. We started with Rabbi Moskowitz, followed by me, followed by Dr. Brian Goldstein, and now Rabbi Wiesenberg. It's really a wonderful schmooze event that David Pinkowitz put together, and a lot of people are enjoying it, so go check it out. Wednesday, April 21st at 7 p.m., we are having a town hall meeting to go over our year, how everything went, and to talk about our commitment to giving pledge and how well that's been going. Friday, June 25th, we get to have our Amuna service with Beth Silverman. Really look forward to that. And Monday, June 28th, I'm sure we've been talking about it, so please, everybody, mark your calendars for our amazing in-person golf outing at the Comac Hamlet. There's a lot that's going to be going on. Pickleball, swimming, mahjong, raffles, dinner, something for everyone. So please mark that date, Monday, June 28th. Rabbi spoke of Marilyn Shimon tonight, a few minutes after the service. And please, in your weekly email or on the website, click on the link for the United Hatzalah campaign to help either contribute, donate money to give an oxygen tank for United Hatzalah or to contribute money towards an oxygen tank. So you can do any denomination. Did you
And
have
one of the
something to
links,
add?
I was a little loud. One of the links that went out for that had a period at the end. When you click on it, it says an error on the page. You can either just cut and paste it and take the period off the end, or go to the Temple Beth Torah website and it'll take you to the proper United Hatzalah page. And we are doing this during a time when there's a matching grant. So every gift we give is doubled.
That's wonderful. And the village is coming soon. Help us create it by embarking on a new program, how to best serve our active adult community. It's called The Village, and Temple Beth Torah and Dix Hills Jewish Center is partnering together with the UJA Federation. Check it out. There's information on our website and our weekly emails. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
And Wendy and Jeff Nackinson are chairing the Village Project, so you can reach out to them as well for active older adults. Thank you, Vanessa. And we are ending our service this evening, a little break, and then Marilyn Shimon, but with Paul Little and Vincent also. Wonderful. Thank you. You've added so much. There are still slots available for the vigil tonight. We'll go till about 11 o'clock. If you do want to come over, we'll fit you in and it won't be too crowded. And we invite people here to stay and begin the reading of the names. Thank you all so much, and thank you, Brian Goldstein and Erica Lachant, for coordinating our vigil this evening, and Miriam Hirsch as well. So come back in about 3 to 5 minutes and we will begin our program for this evening. May tonight be full of blessing.
I'm on, Rabbi.
Hello, Marilyn. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm going to start without the PowerPoint. I'll be turning it on probably in about 3-4 minutes.
Okay, do you want to test the screen share?
Sure.
I'm going to turn my volume off.
Oh. It was easier yesterday. How come I'm not getting it now? We did it yesterday.
Follow those instructions. They did work.
What I'm doing, they did.
Just start again because the screen share works and I always do multiple people to share.
Wow, it's not working now.
Are you on Zoom or some other?
Okay, I hear you,
Yes.
but I can't see you. I have my PowerPoint in front of me. Do you see my PowerPoint?
No,
Oh, okay, I hear you.
I'm right in the upper left-hand corner of the screen on Zoom. I thought you might be in a different mode instead of Zoom. You were on.
Okay, now I see you.
That's your problem.
It's my, no, but now I can't get the PowerPoint.
Can you just give your talk then? We don't need a PowerPoint for everything.
I may have to. The PowerPoint shows good pictures, actually.
Well, this is on my screen. I see a list of things here. I don't know what that is, but we'll download.
We did it yesterday and it worked.
Okay, well,
It's not working now. We spent so much time trying to get it to work yesterday.
the meeting should start in a few seconds, it says.
Oh no. Why won't it work now? Can't believe this.
Marilyn, would you maybe send it to Rabbi and she could try to help you screen share it from on her end when you're ready?
I tried that yesterday, but it was too big to be sent.
Oh boy.
We got it to work yesterday, and for some reason,